Who is ignorant in how great obscurity of matter, in how abstruse, manifold, and subtle an art they who are called mathematicians are engaged? Yet in that pursuit so many men have arrived at excellence, that not one seems to have applied himself to the science in earnest, without attaining in it whatever he desired. Who has ever devoted himself wholly to music? Who has ever given himself up to the learning which they profess, who are called grammarians, without compassing in knowledge and understanding the whole substance and matter of these sciences, though almost boundless? Of all those who have engaged in the most liberal pursuits and departments of such sciences, I think I may truly say that a smaller number of eminent poets have arisen than of men distinguished in any other branch of literature, and in the whole multitude of the learned, among whom there rarely appears one of the highest excellence, there will be found, if you will but make careful review of our own list and that of the Greeks, far fewer good orators than good poets. This ought to seem the more wonderful, as attainments in other sciences are drawn from recluse and hidden springs. But the whole art of speaking lies before us, and is concerned with common usage and the custom and language of all men. So that while in other things are most excellent, which are most remote from the knowledge and understanding of the illiterate, it is in speaking even the greatest of faults to vary from the ordinary kind of language, and the practice sanctioned by universal reason. Yet it cannot be said with truth, either that more are devoted to the other arts, or that they are excited by greater pleasure, more abundant hope, or more ample rewards, for to say nothing of Greece, which was always desirous to hold the first place in eloquence, and Athens, that inventress of all literature, in which the utmost power of oratory was both discovered and brought to perfection. In this very city of ours, assuredly, no studies were ever pursued with more earnestness than those tending to the acquisition of eloquence. For when our empire over all nations was established, and after a period of peace had secured tranquillity, there was scarcely a youth ambitious of praise who did not think that he must strive with all his endeavours to attain the art of speaking. For a time, indeed, as being ignorant of all method, and as thinking there was no course of exercise for them, or any precepts of art, they attained what they could by the single force of genius and thought. But afterward, having heard the Greek orators, and gained an acquaintance with Greek literature, and procured instructors, our countrymen were inflamed with an incredible passion for eloquence. The magnitude, the variety, the multitude of all kinds of causes excited them to such a degree that to the learning which each had acquired by his individual study, frequent practice, which was superior to the precepts of all masters, was at once added. There were then, as there are also now, the highest inducements offered for the cultivation of this study in regard to public favour, wealth, and dignity. The abilities of our countrymen, as we may judge from many particulars, far excelled those of the men of every other nation, for which reasons who would not justly wonder that in the records of all ages, times, and states so small a number of orators should be found? But the art of eloquence is something greater, and collected from more sciences and studies than people imagine. For who can suppose that, amidst the great multitude of students, the utmost abundance of masters, the most eminent geniuses amongst men, the infinite variety of causes, the most ample rewards offered to eloquence, that there is any other reason to be found for the small number of orators than the incredible magnitude and difficulty of the art? A knowledge of a vast number of things is necessary, without which volubility of words is empty and ridiculous. Speech itself is to be formed not merely by choice, but by careful construction of words, and all the emotions of the mind which nature has given to man must be intimately known, for all the force and art of speaking must be employed in allaying or exciting the feelings of those who listen. To this must be added a certain portion of grace and wit, learning worthy of a well-bred man, and quickness and brevity in replying as well as attacking, accompanied with a refined decorum and urbanity. Besides, the whole of antiquity and a multitude of examples is to be kept in the memory, nor is the knowledge of laws in general, or of the civil law in particular, to be neglected. And why need I add any remarks on delivery itself, which is to be ordered by action of body, by gesture, by look, by modulation and variation of the voice, the great power of which alone, and in itself the comparatively trivial art of actors on the stage proves, on which though all bestow their utmost labour to form their look, voice, and gesture, who knows not how few they are, and have ever been, to whom we can attend with patience? What can I say of that repository for all things, the memory, which, unless it be made keeper of the matter in words that are the fruits of thought and invention, all the talents of the orator we see, though they be of the highest degree of excellence, will be of no avail. Let us then cease to wonder what is the cause of the scarcity of good speakers, since eloquence results from all those qualifications. In each of these singly it is a great merit to labour successfully, and let us rather exhort our children, and others whose glory and honour is dear to us, to contemplate in their minds the full magnitude of the object, and not to trust that they can reach the height at which they aim by the aid of precepts, masters, and exercises that they are all now following, but to understand that they must adopt others of a different character.